travelers will be headed to various destinations during the holiday season. Traveling at this time is highly risky and requires one to be adequately insured. Leaving no one at home also requires proper security, as housebreaking can also happen during one's absence. Let's hear advice from for some precautionary measures, and we speak to Sekgobola Thobakgale, who is short-term insurance specialist at Refined. Thank you very much for coming through, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So during this time, excitement is in the air. That's, when it comes to consumer behavioral patterns, anyone think about security and insurance matters during this time?
Yes, and this is the time that one might probably say that you need your insurance more because you want to enjoy yourself where you are, knowing very well that your valued assets are well insured and adequately insured, that you have informed your insurer of the correct security measures that you have when you're leaving your home away, that you are, you are covered for your valuables that you take with you, whether on holiday or not, but you take it with you out of the house, that those items are also adequately insured.
Talking about risk, I mean, it's not something that comes out of the vacuum, or we just think about it and extrapolate. Just this afternoon, after the press conference held by Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula, a gentleman who was going on holiday with his family had his car catch fire right on the highway. And you can imagine when you are in transit to a holiday destination, what you have packed in your car, but having a lucky escape. But just give us a scenario about insured and uninsured items when in transit.
Okay, so when in transit insurance, when you have your contents, for example, insured comprehensively, and insurance, and it's personal insurance, so it will work differently for business, because you would need to buy goods in transit cover. But under personal insurance, you will have cover for when you move between permanent residence, or you're moving from one permanent residence to go to a holiday residence, which will then be regarded as a permanent resident, as you will be there for a while. But now your car, in this type of example that you've given, you will need to have comprehensive cover on that vehicle. But while you're having that comprehensive cover on that vehicle, it is also important, as you said, about risk management, that before we take a trip, it is requirement, K53 requirement, that you go under the car, you check if there's any oil leaks, you check in the engine and all those type of things. Because while fire is an insured peril in terms of your vehicle and in terms of your household goods, but if the proximity of that fire is due to something that is, maintenance and gradual deterioration of the use as you use your vehicle, and as a result is not insured, as a sudden and as unforeseen event, you might not still be covered. So it is important, yes, like you said, that we are cognizant of the risks that are surrounding us, and we managing them as much as we can and as best as we can. In terms of the goods, you would need to have household contents insurance to be able to claim for items that you are moving from one permanent address into another permanent address. The other thing that one might need to look at is if there are gadgets that you are taking with you, from one permanent address to the other, or on holiday. If you want those insured, those loose valuable items, they need to be specified under your all risk section of your policy. And if you do not have them specified under that section, you may not be insured, depending from policy to policy specifications and exclusions.
When you talk about perils, please simplify that term for us and explain to us about explain to us the scenario where somebody has insured their car against theft, and perhaps they did not include towing services and other necessary perils that should have been included, and they didn't review the insurance?
Of course, yes. Generally, you will get that a vehicle policy will have your roadside assistance, and your home and building insurance will have generally your homeside assistance. But certain policies will require you to specify and buy it as an extra. So it is important that you look at your policy schedule. You do discuss it with your insurance if you're buying directly, and if you're buying through a broker, you do have that conversation with your broker to find out, do I have this kind of services in terms of roadside assistance and so on. Coming back to the question that you were asking about, the word peril, it is a fancy word that, in insurance that basically means happening. So when you claim, the insurance company first looks at what is the proximity of the incident. What happened? Was it rain? Was it fire? Was it storm? Was it an accident? Was it theft? Then, once they've ascertained the peril, if it's an insured peril, then they look at what is the proximity of, cause. Did we have fire as a result of not maintaining the engine of the vehicle, and as a result, there was a spark and the vehicle went into fire? Or is it the cause of the fire? Is it an insured? Is it an event that is not against the policy in terms of your maintenance requirement of your vehicle? Therefore, if it is not, of course, then the claim gets settled accordingly.
So when it comes to lack of roadside assistance, is there any kind of message?
Yes.
If there has been an omission on the part of the consumer or the insured person that they didn't include that benefit, are there flexibilities?
So insurance policies will work differently, because remember, the roadside assistance is not part of insurance per se. It's not part of it's not insurance, but it is an additional and optional in certain policies, but it is an additional, most of the time, automatic cover that you would get is if you buy a comprehensive cover in some insurances. Some insurances will still give you, even if you don't buy comprehensive, but you buy third-party fire and theft, they will still provide you with roadside assistance. Like I said, check your policy and make sure that, are these automatic or is it things that you need to buy? When you have these services, or you have bought this type of products, you are then able to use them even if the person driving the vehicle is not the insured or the primary driver of the vehicle. So that service is to the car. Like some policies, if you have an incident with a third party, some policies will cover you even if you're not the primary driver, because they cover the vehicle. But in some instances, third party would go with the insured even if they're driving another person's car. But with somebody driving their vehicle, then they will not be covered for the damages that they cause to the third party, but instead they will be covered only for the damages to their vehicle.
All right, let's talk about the issue of motor plans. I know this
Yes,
should probably not be your area of expertise because it's beyond your control, but motor plan is an insurance as well, because it deals with the conditionalities of the car's well-being in terms of it being functional mechanically. So in layman terms, why must you have motor plan when your car is still new and it doesn't need any kind of expensive maintenance? But after 100,000 kilometers, you don't have motor plan, and when your car is damaged, now it's starting to experience a lot of wear and tear. Why can't a consumer determine when their motor plan should kick in? Because you need it most after 2, 3, 4, and 5 years, when you still owe your car, when you have not paid it off. So it's expensive.
See, maybe what we need to do, we need to separate the two, because there is a service plan. There is also a warranty that a vehicle would have. There's the maintenance, which is commonly known as a motor plan. Now, your motor plan or your service plan will look after the day-to-day needs of your vehicle, the maintenance, the things that will gradually deteriorate and get finished, like your brake pads, your clutch plate if you burn it. But your warranty will then look into components that you would be required to pay for after you've done your service, and it has come back and said, but your one of these items on your vehicle have been or rather are worn out and need to be replaced. Then your warranty kicks in. So even though, when you buy a vehicle, they will sell you what they call a motor plan, but that motor plan has got different layers into it. It's got the service aspect of it, which looks at your kilometers and changing your oil and those type of things, and you changing your filters and so on. But your warranty will then look after the cost of your brake pads, the things that get worn out. So in general, these are also type of short-term insurances, because you can pay them on a month-to-month basis. But this type of products, they are very shy, and they try and stay away from providing any sort of cover unless it is agreed upon or it's an extension to any damages that are happening to your property, which is maintenance related. For example, when you buy a house, your house doesn't come with maintenance plan, but you are required to maintain your house, and luckily we do have that with vehicles, and at least we can drive them for 100 kilometers while we still have some sort of backup in terms of maintaining it.
So I need one word from you as we go. Don't you think
okay,
it should be in line with the loan period repayment, that your motor plan must start from year 1 to year 5, for example, when you finish paying it?
It will be very interesting if we do that, and it will unfortunately also become very, very costly, because part of the reasons why certain things are not provided within the space of insurance, it's not necessarily because insurers do not have the what we call the idea that this thing can, or not, idea is probably a wrong word, but it's not like they don't want to provide these services. But if they do provide these services, they may become very expensive, and as a result, not everybody will be able to afford. So in the interest of trying to accommodate and give access to as many people as possible to have some sort of fallback when there's financial distress as a result of theft, loss, or damage, the products are trimmed in order to be able to accommodate. Maybe as time goes on, with new legislation that is being suggested and being promulgated, or rather being introduced, to look at anybody being able to service and repair their vehicle at any point, or rather service providers, because that's what makes things very, very expensive. What makes them expensive is because you have to go to a particular agent who charges a particular price, and therefore the guys who charge a bit less do not get accommodated into the whole space of motor plans and warranties and so on. But when people are well registered and correctly registered, adequately registered, they are able to provide these services within these spaces, as we see times are changing.
All right, thank you so much for making time to speak to us. All the best for the holiday season.
Thank you very much, and same to you, sir.
All right.